Today is Thursday, April 3rd. We're talking about a major step in a massive global trade war. President Trump announced new tariffs on virtually the entire world. Also, tornadoes tore through several states and more severe weather is on the way. Plus, a major American company is making an 11th hour bid for TikTok. The Supreme Court made a decision about vape products in the U.S. And what's recession pop? We'll fill you in on the latest trend in music. Those stories and even more news to know today, next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. President Trump declared a national economic emergency and unveiled his most expansive new tariff plan to date. Specifically, he announced tariffs of at least 10% across all countries. Rates go even higher for countries Trump considers to be the worst offenders on trade. For example, tariff rates are now 49% for Cambodia, 46% for Vietnam, and 34% for China. That's on top of the tariffs Trump already imposed on China, so this brings its total tariff rate to 54%. To put it another way, Americans who order from Chinese-based companies like Temu and Shein may have to pay up to 54% more. In most cases, President Trump said the rates are half of what other countries and trading blocs are charging the U.S., so he says it's only fair. The president also says his tariff plan will help grow the U.S. economy, drive domestic manufacturing, and encourage more people to buy American. And he says revenue from tariffs will go a long way toward eventually replacing income taxes. But many economists say this plan will just lead to more inflation, aka higher prices and a weaker dollar, and cause Americans to cut back on spending. Trading partners are also planning to retaliate against the U.S., like China, the European Union, Canada, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, and more. And still, President Trump is not done. Tariffs on vehicle imports also took effect overnight, and the White House is reportedly still considering tariffs on other sectors, like computer chips, drugs, and lumber. To be continued. Tornadoes tore through several states in the South and Midwest, leaving a long trail of damage behind. Many people have been reported hurt, especially in Kentucky, Arkansas, Indiana, and Missouri, and at least one person died. At last check, others were trapped in collapsed buildings. Homes, farms, and businesses were destroyed. Trees and power lines were knocked down, and electricity was knocked out for hundreds of thousands of people. As of early this morning, millions of Americans are still under severe weather alerts. And over the next few days, 10 to 15 inches of rain may fall in parts of the South and Midwest. Israel says it's expanding the war in Gaza, and it's now seizing land. Israel's defense minister put out a statement saying the Israeli military was crushing and cleaning the area of terrorists. He also called on Palestinians to help rid Gaza of Hamas and help hostages return home, saying that was the only way to end the war. And he ordered more evacuations. The UN says more than 200,000 people in the territory have been displaced and more than 1,000 have been killed since the ceasefire broke down. Remember, Israel ended a ceasefire in March and imposed a halt on all imports of food, fuel, and humanitarian aid. The Israeli government blames Hamas, saying it did not hold up its end of the truce and stalled negotiations to release hostages. Israel also says it has full support of the United States. But mediators like Egypt and Qatar are working to revive the ceasefire talks. President Trump's national security advisor reportedly has several group chats going about crises all over the world. Politico cites sources who say Mike Waltz and other members of the National Security Council set up at least 20 group chats on the Signal app. They say each one is there for leaders to coordinate official work on issues like Ukraine, China, Mideast policy, Africa, or Europe. And 4 different sources told Politico they've seen sensitive information being discussed. This means the app is being used much more extensively than what's been reported so far. The National Security Council spokesperson confirmed Signal is allowed on government devices, and he stressed how officials in the Biden administration used it too, though the Biden White House said it was only used for already public info. Either way, the Trump National Security Team also confirmed a Washington Post report that said Waltz and his staff used personal Gmail accounts for government communication, but said all classified information was kept off unsecured platforms. Critics argue even disclosing non-classified national defense information in a non-secure setting, like on Signal or Gmail, can violate the Espionage Act. Some lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are still calling for more investigations, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is introducing a bill to mandate security training for members of the Trump White House. Stay tuned. TikTok's next deadline to either be sold or get banned in the U.S. is now just 2 days away. And now last-minute bids are rolling in from some of the biggest names in tech, like Amazon, who sent its proposal to Vice President J.D. Vance and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick this week. Other bids have been submitted by a consortium led by the OnlyFans founder, as well as the mobile technology company AppLovin. Reuters says American financial firms are in talks to buy out TikTok's Chinese investors. And those are apparently just a few of the many options the White House is considering. So far, no comment from the Trump administration, TikTok, or TikTok's parent company, ByteDance. But President Trump has said he expects a deal to be forged by the deadline, which is this Saturday. We have much more news for you still coming up. But first, thanks to our sponsor, OneSkin. If you're ready to both take care of your skin's appearance and its health, definitely give OneSkin a try. They know the purpose of skincare is not just to improve how you look, but to also optimize your skin's biology at the cellular level, so it's more resilient to the aging process. And while they do that, OneSkin also reduces the visible signs of aging, like lines and wrinkles. The mastermind ingredient behind it all is the OS1 peptide, which works at the cellular level. I appreciate that every claim is based on lab or clinical studies and documented on OneSkin's website, too. And I personally love the feel of OneSkin on my face. It's hydrating, but not too heavy, so it's perfect for everyday use, and it's simple. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with the code newsworthy at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with the code newsworthy. And after your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Now back to the news. It turns out a vaccine that already exists could be used to fight dementia. A new, large, peer-reviewed study found getting a shingles shot cut older adults' risk of developing dementia by 20% over at least the next 7 years. Other studies have also showed the same potential link, but they couldn't rule out the possibility that people who get vaccinated might have other factors helping their chances, like healthier lifestyles. Well, this new study apparently ruled out many of those factors by picking people the exact same age and looking into their medical histories, including how often they went to the doctor and what medications they were taking. So it showed again that a vaccine to prevent painful shingles might also help protect the aging brain. More research is now underway. In a unanimous decision, the U.S. Supreme Court decided to keep flavored vapes off American store shelves. The High Court ruled the FDA under President Biden did not break the law when it kept a distribution company from selling vaping products that taste like dessert. The FDA banned them because of how addictive and attractive to young people they are. But the distribution company sued, saying the FDA unfairly changed its standards when it was reviewing vaping products. Flash forward to this week, and the Supreme Court disagreed with the suit, saying the FDA made its decision fairly based on scientific evidence. So the ban stays, at least for now. But it might not last, since President Trump has promised to save flavored vaping, saying it can help people get off smoking traditional cigarettes. Earlier this week, the FDA's top tobacco regulator lost his job. So far, no comment from the Trump administration on the High Court's ruling. Air traffic controllers at Washington, D.C.'s Reagan National Airport are about to get more support. For example, crisis counseling and more supervision. This comes after a fight in the control tower we told you about, as well as another near miss just 2 months after a deadly plane crash. To help with stress, the FAA says it's planning regular wellness checks. It's also making crisis counselors available, adding supervisors, and evaluating whether enough controllers are working each shift. And more changes could be coming, since the FAA says it's still reviewing the current arrival rate at Reagan to see if it could be too high. Mixed martial arts is coming to more fans around the world. UFC announced a new multi-year partnership with Facebook's parent company, Meta. And with that, the UFC will be integrated with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Threads. It will also get to use Meta AI, Meta Glasses, and Meta Quest mixed reality devices, all of which UFC President Dana White says will help take fan engagement to the next level. Already, there are plans for some exclusive original UFC content to be shown on Threads and for Meta Glasses to be incorporated at UFC events. Meta's brand will also appear in the UFC's famous Octagon, and even more announcements are expected soon. A couple of sports innovations have been stirring debate this week. We're talking about torpedo bats in Major League Baseball and the Tush push in the NFL. We'll start with the baseball bats. They're called torpedo bats because they're in the shape of a torpedo. They're designed to be densest in the areas where the players are most likely to hit the ball, theoretically giving them more power and speed. They were designed by a former New York Yankees assistant who also holds a doctorate in physics from MIT. Well, this season, they may have helped the Yankees hit a record-tying 15 home runs in their first 3 games. Other teams are now dabbling with using torpedo bats, too, though players' reactions are mixed. Either way, they are allowed since MLB rules only specify the right bat length and diameter, not a standard weight or barrel placement. Over in football, the so-called Tush push has sparked a lot of debate, and it will keep being up for debate since this week NFL team owners decided to put off a decision on whether to ban it or not. In the play, the quarterback dives forward while teammates push him from behind. Critics have brought up concerns about injury risks, but supporters say there's no data to show the play is any more dangerous than traditional ones. For now, the NFL seems split on it and has decided to wait until next month to make a decision. The league did approve other rules this week, though, like team owners voted to align the regular season overtime rules more closely with the playoff rules. They also decided first downs will be measured electronically. Replay assist will now be able to help referees with more calls, and teams will now be able to wear throwback jerseys on more occasions. The next NFL season starts in September. That's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday about a new trend in pop music. But first, this episode is brought to you by Huel. I know that you are super busy and you value your time, and that's at least part of the reason that you listen to the Newsworthy. So if you ever feel like you don't have time to make a meal or get healthy food that'll keep you going through your day, consider an option that takes no prep, no cooking, is just grab and go, and is under $5. Huel's Black Edition Ready to Drink is a perfectly balanced meal in a bottle designed by nutrition experts. I'm talking 35 grams of protein and 27 vitamins and minerals. It takes the guesswork out of healthy eating and the stress out of not having enough time. For me, it's all about having an easy, high-protein option on those especially busy days or trips, because I can even throw it in my suitcase if I'm traveling and I'm not sure when I'll be able to grab a meal. So give Huel's Black Edition Ready to Drink a try, because right now, new customers can visit huel.com/newsworthy to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. That's HUEL, huel.com/newsworthy, and use my code newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Today we're explaining recession pop. That's the trendy name for new music coming out right now. People on social media came up with the genre since they say new music seems reminiscent of songs that came out nearly 20 years ago during the last economic recession. It's pop music that's up-tempo with lyrics that talk about going out, getting buzzed, and forgetting all our troubles. So think songs like Rihanna's Don't Stop the Music and the Black Eyed Peas' I Got a Feeling. New songs coming out now have that same vibe, like the new single from Kesha and T-Pain called Yippee-Ki-Yay, or Lady Gaga's newest hit, Abracadabra. Recession pop has gone viral on TikTok, and Google searches for recession pop have skyrocketed. To be clear, America is not in a recession, at least not right now, but some people see the current music landscape as a sign that people are at least craving some escapism. Thank you so much for listening today and making us part of your daily routine. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.